I recently shot my debut feature film, and these were the 7 story mistakes that I tried to avoid at all costs, and I am going to lay out what they are and why you should avoid them as well. However, I'm a new YouTube channel. Most people don't know who I am, and people are probably wondering, like, what gives you the authority? What's your credibility? Why should we listen to you? I don't know what to tell you. I made a feature film and I'm talking about it on YouTube. So if you don't want to listen to what I have to say in this video, I'm going to tell you how to ruin your debut feature film by implementing these 7 storytelling mistakes that I personally tried to avoid at all costs. But if you don't want to avoid them and you want to make sure that no one ever watches your feature films ever again, and especially after you made a really crappy first one, then this video is for you. So yeah, let's go. My name is Jenkins. I'm a musician and filmmaker. Actually, I'm a filmmaker and musician. I used to be a musician and filmmaker. Now I'm a filmmaker and musician. And I have over 20 years of experience in the entertainment industry in all sort of mediums. And I personally believe that every filmmaker is a studio. And so yeah, let's get started. The first way to ruin your feature film is having a character or characters that have they don't want anything. It's very easy to write a passive character because it doesn't require a lot of effort. You just have a character go places and do things and fight the bad guy and get the girl. But this actually runs contrary to human nature. And the reason that this will ruin your film is because everybody wants something at all times. Like, I want you to watch this video all the way to the end, and I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So like, that's one of the reasons I'm making these videos, is because I want to help you as a filmmaker, but I also like want the attention and I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if I were just making this video for literally no reason, then that would be pointless. And the same goes for a film. Why would you watch a 90-minute to 120-minute to 3-hour film with characters who like don't want anything? So what I would recommend doing, and what I did for my debut feature film, is that it was the first thing that me and my partner determined, was that what does the protagonist want? What would he be willing to give his life for? What does he want, and what can we give him, or what can he give the audience in this 90-minute, 2-hour experience? So for you, the want of a character, in my experience, should be tied to like the nature of the character itself. So if you have a character who's like a race car driver, then the want is probably going to be related to race car driving, or money or fame or like craft. You wouldn't have a race car driver whose main goal is to be an accountant at a local government, although that might be a cool film. But yeah, so you want a character with something to want. And if you don't, then you're going to ruin your film big time. So yeah, what's the second one? Oh yeah, the second way to ruin your film is wimpy conflict. And when I say wimpy, what I mean by wimpy is being afraid of emotional vulnerability. I am of the opinion that if you're an artist and you're making a film, you need to be in touch with your dark side. You need to be in touch with the thoughts that you don't tell anybody, the thoughts that would make other people clutch their pearls, because everybody's got those thoughts. Everybody has thoughts that they don't tell people, that they think and they go, oh my God, I hope no one ever finds out that I thought that. Everyone's got those thoughts. And you need to have a relationship with those thoughts, because when you're dealing with conflict and you're taking the character to the max, which every story should do, every story should take the protagonist to the limit of their human condition. You got to have a relationship with the darkness, and you got to be able to mine that darkness. So that's what I mean by wimpy, is that there are people who are unwilling to deal with their shadow and unwilling to put their blood on the screen. So when we were working on our film, we thought, okay, this character, what does he want? What is the lowest point that he could possibly have, and what's the farthest that he has to go emotionally to get what he wants at the end of the film. And when you mine those dark parts of your psyche, you may feel that you're being too vulnerable, but what you're actually doing is connecting to other people, because everybody has the darkness in them. And if you can show the darkness, and it doesn't have to be represented by like literal darkness, I'm just talking about like the human condition. The more vulnerable you are, the more empathetic that audiences are going to be, and the more you're going to be able to connect with people. So like, if you play it safe, it's never a good idea. It's never a good idea to play it safe with conflict. You're always going to want to go 2 or 3 levels deeper than you're comfortable with and explore that in order to actually make a story that is going to like get people at the edge of their seats. So the speaking of story, the third way to ruin your feature film is to let's see, no progress. I don't know how to write these in just 1 or 2 words. So what let me expand on this. No progress meaning a scene that doesn't progress the story. So like I'll use a quick diagram here. Say you have a scene and you have beginning and end. The scene goes from there to there, and there should be some sort of like revelation or reveal of information or character development or tension that gets explored that is different at the end than it is at the beginning. And you want every single scene in your film to deal with that. At the end of each scene, your character or the story should be in a different place than it was at the previous end of the scene. So like the difference, I'm not even going to give an example, because you just have to figure it out for yourself. Because I can't necessarily tell you. But what I can tell you is that this right here, this idea is fractal. So, say from here to here is a scene, and it does this, but then also within scenes, acts are made up of scenes. And then that is fractal that way. And so that goes that way. The act has to have a beginning and an end. And then the entire film also has to have a beginning and end. So like each scene has got to go somewhere, each act has to go somewhere, and each story has to go somewhere. It's all these little mini arcs, and you've got to figure this out for every single scene and moment in your film to keep the audience entertained and to tell a great story. So the thing that I used as kind of a metric for when we were shooting our feature film is that is every scene a linchpin? If I take out a scene, how much does it break the story? Because ideally, you want every single scene to be a linchpin. If you remove a scene, you go, oh, well, there's this thing that happened that these scenes then don't connect to each other, because there's this thing in the middle that needs to be shown before the other scenes make sense. So if you have that kind of situation here, and this is the linchpin, if you take it out, then these 2 scenes don't make sense. So if you have a scene that really needs to be taken out, then you need to actually rework these scenes or find a way to combine them, So that's the work that you got to do. So, and I know that I'm, this whiteboard thing is temporary. I'm redesigning my office. And I'm shooting these in batch with other videos, so that's why you haven't seen any progress in the last 3 videos. The fourth thing that will absolutely ruin your debut feature film, for the most part, is an idiot plot. And what is an idiot plot? An idiot plot means that the film keeps going because people are dumb. And the only way that things move from one beat in one scene to another is because people are too dumb to solve the problems. And so they just keep kicking this can of buffoonery down the road. And if you're trying to shoot an action movie or a drama where the characters need to be taken seriously and they're idiots and they don't know how to solve problems, or they're, kicking, light sockets and, accidentally letting out all the dinosaurs all the time, you're going to get people thinking, and you don't want an audience to think during the movie. You don't want an audience to think well, why did he do that? I would have done that differently. Well, if I would have been in this position, I would have sure not done that. Or that character's an idiot. You don't want them thinking. You want them feeling. You want them, if anything, you want them thinking afterwards, if at all. Some of my favorite films I've never thought about. I only feel them. And having an idiot plot is a sure way to take your audience out of the film and get them to think. which is not the job of entertainment. Um, so now, where these do work are comedies or farces or anything that has to do with mistaken identity. You can kind of get away with things being a little silly at this point. Like Dumb and Dumber is a great example. It's totally an idiot plot because they're idiots. Like that's the entire point, is that they're dumb. Uh, and it's not that means that every character has to be a nuclear physicist, but the choices that a character makes need to be in alignment with who that character is. If the character is, I'm not going to give too many examples. We all have references that we can reference here. So an idiot plot will absolutely ruin your film. Now, and that's actually really hard to do because it's hard to think about all the ways in which your characters are dumb, and you can't write characters it's hard to write characters that are smarter than you. So that's just something that you're gonna have to figure out for yourself. So here's the fifth one is, no, the way to ruin your film is to not have a point of view, because this kind of goes back to the character's want. If the character doesn't have a want, then we're not going to have any point of view to reference that character's want through. And if you have a scene with two characters and they're having an argument or a discussion and you don't know who to empathize with, if it's not the point, if the point of the scene is not to empathize with a character and have everything be equally weighted, that's a creative choice. But if you're just having two characters and they're having an argument and you think that an audience should empathize with character A or character B, but you don't express that, then the audience is going to be like, well, I don't know who to care about, therefore I don't care about the story. And I've been in many situations where people that I'm watching the story with, they don't care because they can't discern why should I care? Who should I be caring about? Especially if it's a large cast of characters. You need to, I'll just say it flat, the story should be told through the lens of your protagonist. The story should be about your protagonist, unless there's a reason for a scene not to sort of be told through that lens. Every scene should sort of be told through the lens of your protagonist. So you got to have a POV. This is where spreadsheets come in to help, because I'm currently editing my debut feature, and I have this large spreadsheet with all the scene numbers, and I'm sort of keeping track of, when I'm editing this scene, whose point of view are we empathizing with in the moment? And it's not always the protagonist. Sometimes it's someone else, but most of the time it is, because the protagonist is the person that pushes the story forward. Their want pushes the story forward. They've got conflict. They make progress. They're not an idiot. And we understand who they are and why they are. So yeah, that's what that is. And the sixth thing that's going to ruin your film, and I hope that you're actually building a really crappy film by not taking this advice, because that's what the world needs, is more terrible films, because the theater industry is hurting. And if you really want to kill it, make really bad films. So the sixth is not having room for multiple viewings. And what I mean by this is, in previous multiple viewings, not viewers. Come on, Kurt. Multiple viewings, no multiple viewings. What I mean by this is that in the previous generation, I've heard filmmakers talk about this. They made their films knowing that they were going to be consumed on home video, Blu-ray, or VHS. Now it's DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, which I recommend everyone buying Blu-rays and 4Ks. Buy 4Ks, support physical media. It's something that's I'm an activist when it comes to physical media. Buy physical media because you don't want streamers controlling everything. So in previous generations, it would be home video, but now we get multiple viewings through things like streaming, and also through things like YouTube video essays and memes on social media. These films are analyzed to death by various people making video essays, and then the films are chopped up and turned into content and memes that sort of reveal new meaning of the film and sort of drive further attention to that film over many years. Some memes actually even make it into the language of our culture, which is a beautiful thing. I love memes. So when you make your film, a way to ruin it is to have everything be surface level and have everything be immediately apparent on first glance. You actually want to make your film as shallow and disposable as a short form video, like a TikTok or an Instagram reel, because those types of content, they don't have any symbolism, they don't have any meaning beyond the 30-second dopamine hit that you get. And if you want to ruin your debut feature film, make a film like that. But if you want to make a good film, you want the film to be able to reward primarily on first viewing, because you want people to be wowed and, or, however, to get the reaction that you want. But you also want them to come back for multiple viewings to see what layers are also revealed. And at best, the best thing that you can do, in my opinion, for multiple viewings is to do like what I've heard Scorsese talk about, what Kubrick films do, is that as you get older over the decades, you rewatch the films and the films actually change with you as you get older. You start empathizing with different ideas or themes or character traits as you get older and gain more life experience. That's the best way to do it. So initially, your films then become a living document by which you can like document your own, or like, I guess observe your own life through. That's the best thing that you can do, and that's why cinema is so incredible. And that's why short form and YouTube videos will never be able to touch the power that cinema has, is because this is baked into the DNA of cinema. So I'm going to stop there before I go on even further of a rant. And the final way to ruin your debut feature film is to ignore the theme. Ignore theme. And what I mean by this is that there's lots of literature on what a theme is, or what like Robert McKee calls the controlling idea. So I'm not going to go into that. But what I kind of refer to theme, I mean, is, what the film's trying to say, what the film's trying to get across. It's not in terms of a propaganda thing, but it's the thing that all the creative choices in your film lead to, that the audience then takes away from the viewing that they carry into their life. You want to call that theme, you want to call that controlling idea, fine. But if you want to make a crappy film, especially a crappy debut feature film, ignore this. Which means, how do you ignore the theme? You just have nothing connect. You want characters to be doing things just because they're doing them. It kind of goes off in terms of the want, but where this may be just sort of physical, this is more like spiritual. These are like physical actions, and these are like the spiritual meaning behind the actions of the want. So by ignoring the theme, you're ignoring the order that you give the story. Because life in itself, if you just like observe life, there's no, I guess, obvious meaning to like a day. Like if you like watched a person's day 24 hours and just like this live stream, you wouldn't be able to discern any obvious meaning maybe from the person's day. But if you sort of curated or selected an hour out of that person's day, the clips that you select from that person's day would then imbue the person's day with meaning, because you're only showing certain things of that person's day, thereby having a point of view, thereby having a theme that you can watch this person's day, or that will connect the person's day. You see what I'm saying? I'm kind of rambling, but you get my drift. If you ignore this, you literally don't have a story, and your audience goes, why did I just do that? Why did I just waste my time? I can just live my own day and have that same experience, So you gotta pay attention to the theme, and you gotta you gotta leverage your audience's desire to recognize patterns. And the theme essentially is just like one big pattern recognition engine that gives the audience a payoff at the end of the film. So these are the 7 things that I feel will ruin your debut feature film. And these are the things that I honestly tried to avoid at all costs when it came to shooting my film, and now in the editing stage. And the thing is, all this gets brought up and sort of re-examined at every stage of the production. When you're writing the film, you have to contend with these potential mistakes. When you're making the film, you have to contend with these potential mistakes. And when you're editing the film, you have to contend with these potential mistakes, but in different ways. And the discovery of learning how these potential mistakes manifest in different ways depending on what stage of the production you're in is a ride, man. And it will make your brain hurt. So that's what I'm going to say about this. You know what to do, man. If you like this video, subscribe. If you like it, leave a comment. Tell me what I got right. Tell me what I got wrong. And follow along, because I really just want to, I want to help people a couple steps behind me. You know, I needed a mentor to make my first feature film and to jumpstart my career telling stories. And I want to be that for you. That's why I'm making these videos. I'm not trying to inundate you with heavy edited slop. I tried that. It didn't work. So we'll see if this lands. So anyway, I really appreciate you getting this far. I appreciate you subscribing and commenting and sort of engaging with what I'm trying to do here. And I'll see you on the next video.